Whoa! Welcome to the TreasureTreeTherapy Planters Podcast. I'm your host, Master Cheeze. You're in for a good one, as always. On the podcast, we're going to talk a lot about Taylor University football. The boys on a roll, update you how they did this weekend. Then we're going to transpire and move forward and talk about the Colorado Buffaloes' upcoming battle against Kansas State. On the segment for Pride. Then we're going to speak about, most importantly, the Chicago Bears. Another dub. We'll talk about Caleb Williams' historical stat day for him. Lastly, about some fantasy football injuries and give you some insight on what to expect for your team this season. Talking about Nico Collins, Jonathan Taylor, and more. Stay tuned. You don't want to miss this. Welcome back to the TreasureTreeTherapy Planners Podcast. Again, I'm your host, Master Cheeze. We're going to talk about Taylor University football. They started this weekend 4-1. They played against a rivalry opponent, a crosstown rival, St. Francis of Fort Wayne, and these boys came out on top. They improved their record to 5-1 with a blowout victory. Taylor beat St. Francis 58-36. The game wasn't close. It's very good to see Taylor getting these victories. Historically speaking, St. Francis has owned Taylor's number in the past decade. So this is a big one. This is big in the history books, as Taylor hasn't beat them in a very long time. Right now, Taylor is coming by, and they will be preparing themselves to play against Indiana Wesleyan. To give you some history, Indiana Wesleyan is an up-and-coming powerhouse of a school. Now they are currently ranked 3rd in the nation. Right now, Taylor University currently ranks 2nd in NAIA rushing yards at 712 yards. They'll need all the yards they can get when they look to battle Indiana Wesleyan. They have a bye this weekend. They look to come up next weekend to take them down. They'll need all the help they can get. Indiana Wesleyan is a powerhouse team, so we'll see what the boys have for them in the next coming weeks. It'll be a battle of 5-1 teams, and so best of luck to the Taylor University Trojans. And now we're going to move forward to well, it's not really prime time per se. The Colorado Buffaloes are on a bye this upcoming weekend. They're going to try to get their players ready to battle against Kansas State. Kansas State is also 4-1 on the season, and they're currently ranked 18th in the nation. Kansas State is a good team, and it's going to be another test for the Colorado Buffaloes to show and prove people wrong with what they've been doing all year. Look out for more updates in the next coming weeks as we cover the Colorado Buffaloes, but from there we're going to progress until the Chicago Bears. 2 dubs in a row. Chicago Bears came out on top this weekend as they battled the Carolina Panthers. The Chicago Bears were able to come out on top Sunday against the Carolina Panthers by the score of 36-10. A very dominant win for the Chicago Bears. It's something that they needed as they continue to go towards the season with some upcoming divisional matchups. In this game, DJ Moore was able to get some great payback and some great revenge against his old team. He came out with 2 tutties on some beautiful throws with some great catches. In addition to DJ Moore's great game this past Sunday, Caleb Williams also performed well. He was able to go 20 for 29, 304 yards, and 2 touchdowns. That's showing that the Bears line are giving him great protection. The play calling is going smoothly, and also that the Bears are dominating their opponent. With that being said, Caleb Williams had his highest QBR of 83.9. That's a good QBR to have. The previous games, he's been in the 30s and 20s, so it's very encouraging to see him get in that 80 range with the QBR. As you can see, we'll look at a couple plays. The most important part that Caleb Williams was able to do, and as he continues to grow as an NFL quarterback, is that he's able to use his feet and slide in and out of the pocket. Now, in the earlier games, notably against the Houston Texans, He had a hard time stepping through the pocket and trusting his technique to finish the throws. Here he's able to scramble around, move around, but you can tell that the line is able to give him some great protection. The defensive line that he's going up against is going to have a hard time finding him if he's able to step through the pocket and deliver these great throws. Now, it wasn't all great for Caleb, as you can tell towards that second half of the game. He was really having a great time, great win. He started to get gassed down the stretch. Now, when you're playing up against the Carolina Panthers, they're not a very good team at the moment. But when you have to play up against those upper echelon teams like the Philadelphia Eagles, or even having to play up against the Cowboys, you got to maintain your endurance. Caleb kind of got exhausted, but it's not all negative for him. It's just another thing that we're speaking about, him growing as a professional, growing as a NFL quarterback. The Bears have a great matchup going up this weekend against Jacksonville Jaguars. They'll be playing in London overseas. Now, this game is going to be a little bit tricky. The game time is going to be a lot earlier than they're accustomed to. So this game might be a lot out of whack and a little bit out of sync. So we'll see if the Bears can come out on top against the Jaguars. Now, the Jaguars are playing motivated football. They were 0-4 until this past weekend. They were able to get a victory against the Indianapolis Colts. It came down to a late game field goal. The Jacksonville Jaguars were able to come away with the W, and they're looking to be hungry to get 2 in a row as they play against the Chicago Bears in London this weekend. Main thing to look at is Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is one of the upcoming quarterbacks in the league. He has had some struggles this week, or he has had some struggles this year, but he's still a good quarterback. With Trevor Lawrence, he will definitely look to try with the deep ball. The deep ball throws is something Trevor Lawrence can do. He has a good arm. He's mobile throughout the pocket, and he's a smart player. The reason why the deep ball for Trevor Lawrence will be something the Bears will have to be worried about this weekend is because they're going to be missing one of their star players. Chicago Bears safety Jaquan Brisker will be out this weekend because he has a concussion.
Over the top, it's complete to Tremble. Fumble!
A very big hit, something that he's good at, but it's going to cost him this weekend. They're going to have to replace him with some other guys, and with that, Trevor Lawrence will look to test the Bears' secondary with a couple deep ball throws that he typically likes to do. That was something that he showed against the Indianapolis Colts. The deep ball is going to be something that the Bears have to contain. They're really good at helping on the run. Bears defense have been good this year. They'll be able to contain the Jaguars. Something to also note is that Travis Etienne is also questionable at the moment. He has not been practicing. It looks like he may sit out this weekend with a shoulder injury. But with the Bears, they have to contain the run and force Trevor Lawrence to make these deep throws. We'll see with the combination of them traveling to another location and being down one of their star players, see if the Bears can come out on top. Most importantly, the ball is in Caleb Williams' hands. He controls the offense, and he can control the world. With that being said, we're going to progress from the Chicago Bears, and we're going to move forward to fantasy football. All right, fantasy owners, it's going to be a tough week. I know you got a couple injuries, but most importantly, we're going to talk about Nico Collins. Nico Collins is a receiver for the Houston Texans. He has been ripping it up all year. Unfortunately, he has been placed on IR and will be out this upcoming weekend. Nico has a hamstring injury. He came up a little bit limp on his touchdown catch, and that's never a good sign. Hamstring injuries are a waiting game because you definitely need the hamstring to pull and push with accelerating and stopping. Nico Collins will definitely be out for at least 4 weeks. I could see it going up to about 6 weeks. The hamstring is a very, very, very tender thing that needs to be rehabbed. Not only does it need to heal, it also needs to be able to keep up with the speeds that these receivers have, running upwards of 19 to 20 miles per hour. Nico Collins will have a long rehab looking ahead for him. If you have him on your roster, you definitely got to hit the waiver wire. It'd be a long wait for him. So we're going to shine some light on Nick Chubbs. Nick Chubbs is a running back for the Cleveland Browns. They have some positive words coming out from him. He's been practicing a little bit, very limited through his practices, but he's on the field. That's encouraging for the Browns fans as they have been struggling offensively. If you can get Nick Chubbs back, the Browns could be able to go on a winning streak later on in the season. With Nick Chubbs, the biggest thing is his ability to feel comfortable starting and stopping. Although he may have healed and he may be very strong as an ox, it's the mental game. The nervous system has to be able to be prepared to go out there, run as hard as you can, and feel like the next hit that you get, you won't be injured. I look for them to ramp him up a little bit. Now, if I was to be a part of the staff or able to be a fly on the wall and have a conversation, I think a good week for them to test Nick Chubbs will be when they play up against the Chargers. They'll have a bye week the following week, and me being a professional occupational therapist, deal with sports injuries a lot. The hard thing for Nick Chubbs is that even if he has the greatest game of all time, that knee is going to swell up, and he'll need some time to get that swelling back down. That way, he can be prepared for next week. Week to week, it's going to be hard for him a year after his surgery. So I look to them to really take their time with him. Again, I think that a great week to try to give him to ramp him up a little bit will be up against the Chargers. He'll have a bye week, and that way he can really know to test to see how the knee's going. And based off their record, if they need to play him this year or if they set him out for next year. But these are just my thoughts, experts of Master Chief. Then next, we're going to cover Christian McCaffrey. Christian McCaffrey is a running back for the 49ers. He has been dealing with some Achilles tenderness, Achilles soreness. Again, I spoke to you all about this in the previous podcast. He went to Germany, got some treatment done, and they're still lingering and still gingerly are taking their time on getting him ramped back up. Getting some on-field work. He's still not expected to be back within week 6, per the reports. They're not looking to bring him back anytime soon, so it's another patient game for him. With Christian McCaffrey's Achilles injury, as someone who specializes in neurological intervention, it'll be great to see if neurological intervention would help him. I think they're focusing on the physical, which is very important. They want that Achilles to heal. But coming off an off season of training, of rest, it's very interesting to see that the Achilles is bothering him. Interesting to see if a neurological intervention will benefit him and help him get back on the field a little bit sooner. In my experience, the Achilles injury is something that takes some time to get through. But most importantly, if you're not addressing the nervous system, it also takes a little bit longer with the traditional thinking. Christian McCaffrey is getting close to the age of 30, where your nervous system starts to do things differently than they did when they were younger. So shout out to Christian McCaffrey. I know he's a hardworking being, but the times are changing, and we got to be patient with that injury. If you own him, you're in for another long haul. I can see him playing maybe possibly week 8 or week 10, but these are just my thoughts. And again, we're going to move to the Indianapolis Colts. They have 2 big major injuries going on right now. They have Michael Pittman, who's out with a back injury. He's very doubtful to play this weekend. And Jonathan Taylor has not practiced this week. It looks like, again, he'll be out this weekend. We spoke about Jonathan Taylor. He has a history of ankle sprains. Tendons do require some time to heal. But in addition to the tendon injuries, it would be very interesting to see if Jonathan Taylor would benefit from neurological interventions to help that tendon feel a little bit better. That way he can go out there and explode. With these neurological injuries, they need neurological interventions. The body is susceptible to more injuries. With neurological interventions, it helps smooth and helps relax the nervous system. That way it can prepare to ramp back up and do the things that the typical person has been doing in the previous years. I think Jonathan Taylor would be a great candidate for a neurological intervention, seeing as he's been hurting this ankle for the last couple of years, and he had surgery this offseason, and now he's already going to be missing 2 games early in the Colts season this year. So look out for him. And Pittman, he has a back injury. They're going to update us to see how severe it is, but it looks like it's something that's sensitive. You don't really want to mess with the back. That's where a lot of the nerves and the tendons and you have a lot of sensitive structures there. So that's going to be a tricky game. Pittman may have a hard time coming back, but I trust that the medical staff that he's around will take good care of him. And lastly, this is a little bit different. Aaron Rodgers. As a Bears fan, that name is definitely not a name I want to be speaking, but he's not playing us this year. Aaron Rodgers is another person that we talked about last year when we covered his Achilles injury, different type of surgery to help them accelerate a little bit quicker. As I've been watching Aaron Rodgers, who's the quarterback for the New York Jets, he's having a hard time stepping through on those throws, which is very typical. He'll need about a year to recover from the previous surgery, but you can tell that it's impacting his accuracy. Aaron Rodgers is someone I spoke about last year. Although you can accelerate the healing process and you can get the tendon ready to go, the most important part about these injuries is that you must address the neurological system. Aaron Rodgers' neurological system has not been addressed, and I can see with his age and the way he's been getting beat up this year is that he's going to have a hard time finishing the season. Um, New news has come this week that his head coach got fired. It's going to be a tricky season if Aaron Rodgers is unable to finish the season again to see what the New York Jets can do with him. Again, I believe Aaron Rodgers, at the age that he is, he's a great candidate to do some neurological interventions, and I think that will help catapult him this year, and if he plans on playing next year, to play a little bit better football, more competitive football. These are just words of Master Cheeze. These are my opinion. In my many years as a practitioner working with a lot of sports injuries, I think that Aaron Rodgers and many of these athletes are most importantly in need of a neurological intervention. But I'll continue to speak about that in the coming weeks. That's all I have. I want to keep the podcast nice and short. You can like, you can subscribe, or you can not share the video. That's up to you. But we're going to keep doing what we do. We're going to continue to plant seeds today for future generation success. Out.